just close this. Right. What is going on? What is going on, people? What is going on? Let's see. What is going on? Here it is. Here it is. Right. Alright, people. We is live. Un momento, por favor. Ah, there it is. We is live. Look at that. Let me just share that. Just one moment. Almost done. Alright. إن الحمد لله وكفاه والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا وانين لايت bienvenidos a todos بخير راغله خوش آمدید people and swagatam. Have I accidentally left the comments on YouTube? Alright, Nizar, Nargis, Ahlan wa Sahlan, Ubaid, Farhan, go sleep, Mufti, Yusuf, Mia is saying, go sleep. Little do you know, we rise with darkness. Allah. It's all about the vampire lifestyle, people. It's all about that. We're nocturnal creatures. That's what it is. That's when the demons come out to play. Right, so what's going on, people? What is bothering or preoccupying the minds of mi gente? Right, what's going on, people? Imran Khan said a surprise quickie. Huh? ये क्या हो रहा है? ما هذا? No pasa nada. This is no, what it is I thought, well, you know, it'd been a little while, so this Monday I just could not make the show. I wanted to make it because especially because the following Monday I'm a bit preoccupied. But this Monday gone, god damn man flu. May Allah the curse of Allah be upon man flu. I have to say that it is seriously, you know, the myth is real, people. For those of you that think man flu is just a myth, boy, it is debilitating. And the worst part of man flu, you see, when I get man flu, I don't generally fever up. So minus the fever, I get like just a seriously heavy head. I'll get the weakness in the body and a runny nose. Like, I mean, the amount of water coming out of my nose, I don't even understand where that water is coming from. I don't think I've got that many I don't think I've got that much water in my body. The amount that just non-stop comes from my nose. And the eyes and the sinuses and the heavy head, and God, it's horrible, people. And the worst part is, because to other people, it seems like just a cold. It's like I see people, they get a cold, and it's just like a few little sniffles. You know, they just, and that's it. Me, I'm like, I'm destroyed. And to the other person, it'll seem like this is just a cold. I'll be like, come on, just get on with it. It's like, it's not even worthy of being an excuse. So this is why, la'natullahi ala man flu. You know, it's something that needs to be cursed. Right, so, yeah, so I couldn't make Monday. And, you know, I had a list of questions that I'd actually prepared for the Monday on the weekend before in my little pad, and Layla seems to have put that somewhere. Now I've lost that. Ya salam. Why don't you do a talk on what? On Andalusia again. I've done a talk on Andalusia. I've done a whole course. Forget a talk. I've got a whole detailed course on Andalusia, which is on YouTube. It's available. You know, para ustedes. It's for you. Have it, yeah. Free of charge. Have it. Have it, yeah. So, shout out to the NHS staff at Rochdale, huh? Rochdale! Oh, yeah, that one's Rotherham, isn't it? Right, what's your aqidah? What's your aqidah, brother? Brother, what's your aqidah? Aqidah, what's your aqidah? Why aren't the Muslim scholars taking up Christian Prince's challenge and shut him up rather than arguing with each other? I've got no idea who Christian Prince is. I've got no idea what his challenges are. But, right, there's another question. Are you a Shia? No, I'm not a Shia. I'm Sunni. I'm Sunni all the way. Mainstream, orthodox. That said, I think we ought to definitely be building bridges with the Shia community. So, Farhan Mia, are you fluent in Spanish? Claro que sí, hermano. Claro que sí. Espanol is such a beautiful language, I think. That's what I'm probably just intermediate level. Right, are you... These questions keep disappearing here. Was Salam bint Amr... No, Mufti is not a Shia. I'm not a Shia, no. I'm not. Japanese is my favorite language. Languages are awesome anyway. The more languages you can learn, I think it's awesome. Definitely invest your time in learning languages. I did, many years ago, I began a journey to learn Mandarin. I'm just so fascinated by the fact that people can read Mandarin. Honestly, till this day, I had to stop my studies in Chinese at the time, but unfortunately, I mean, maybe I'll resume it at some point once I've got the proficiency level, the expert level in Espanol, but I am really fascinated. I'm just so intrigued by Chinese. I find it like, whoa. So I think if people have some spare time, they should definitely invest it in learning a language. Spanish, I wasn't intrigued by Spanish. I just loved the sound of it. Spanish is such an amazing language. Don't you think so? It's from the Romance languages, and truly, it's a very sexy language by the sound of it. And I mean, as is Italian, but I think Spanish is just because it's so common. It's probably in the top 3 most spoken languages throughout the world. I think it's amazing. So yeah. And you can also start to understand all those Spanish movies and Spanish TV series. And So yeah, so that's definitely. But you see, it's not about. It's not for me to say that you should learn this language or that language, but I think you should definitely invest your time in learning a language. Anisa, ahlan wa sahlan, wa marhaban. Right, welcome, welcome. Somebody said Asif Sabri Malik said Sunni. I thought I am Sunni, of course. Why? How come people are asking all this about me being a Sunni or a कुछ Shia लग रहे हैं क्या? Is it because I've got a black T-shirt on? Or what is the Shia? Or is it because I've said mutah is not haram? This is I may actually this coming week I'm very preoccupied this coming week, but I may have some time to do a bit of reading, and I was thinking maybe of working my way through this book finally, Zawajul Mut'a, Mut'a marriage, because I have given the ruling that I do believe Mut'a is not haram. So is that why people are thinking the Shia thing? It's not Shia. This is written by a Sunni Maliki. Contemporary Moroccan scholar, Qira'atun Jadida fil Fikr Sunni, that a revised reading in the Sunni tradition. Naam, Sunni hai, Sunni. Am I trying to infiltrate the Shia market? ये तो बस सर ही मांगती है मियाँ. Allah. That's the words of Jaun, Elia, one of my favorite poets. He says, Ye to bas sar hi mangti hai miyan. Ishq pe Karbala ka saya hai. Wah. See, these kind of poems will will get me into that Shia audience. No, I really do believe that we need to build bridges. We need to work together. And, right, so that's not the thing to do. Don't know what just happened there. Whoa. Right, wow. This is definitely Zorro or Layla, I don't know what they've been up to. Right, so, yeah. But I really do believe we need to be building bridges. We need to, because the differences are irresolvable. So we need to kind of get beyond them. Mufti, do you have any tips on learning Urdu? Did you see the BBC investigation on mut'ah? I didn't, but somebody mentioned it to me. They said to me that had you... I'm going to look out for it if it's on YouTube. You see, I don't believe that mut'ah... Like, the person said, well, you see, is this Islamicized prostitution? And things... You see, from that perspective, I would condemn... the concept. You see, I'm saying mut'ah, from the concept or the perspective that I've agreed with, is the sense that, you see, two adults, if they agree on, let's say, some companionship and things like this, it's nobody else's business, in essence, how to dictate to them what they are or aren't allowed. It's two consenting people, so I feel that from that perspective, Islam did have this concept that everybody agrees, all Muslims agree that it did have this concept of mut'ah. The difference is whether it was abrogated or not. So people like Ibn al-Azraq al-Anjuri and people like Ibn Ashur, the great Maliki Mujtahid of the last century, and other people felt that it wasn't. And the Shia, of course, as well, this is not really a Shia issue, but it's been kind of tainted that way, that this is some kind of Shia-Sunni split. It's not. But, yeah, so I see it more from the perspective of choice and liberty and freedoms and people having the right to, you know, it's even if, because there are a lot of challenging problems in this day and age, for many reasons, and I've addressed this in the past as well, saying there's things like when it comes to relationships, how do people even assess things like sexual compatibility, for example? How would people even come to assess that? Or what if people did not want a long-term relationship? Does religion not give the freedoms? And I've just argued that, in line with those scholars, that I believe it does. That's all. So that's the perspective. But if one is to look at it from the lens of trying to say, well, this is about prostitution, then that I would condemn. And I would, in line with all the scholars that condemn that, I would condemn that. So that's not the angle of mut'ah that these ulama have advocated, and that's not the angle that I would advocate. So, right. Somebody, Mufti, in a similar way, how we have Wahhabis, don't you think a lot of Shia have their equivalent? Yes, of course. I mean, there are many extreme, I think, Shia as well, fanatics. You see, you know, fanaticism or extremism, if I can call it that kind of Khariji mindset, it has no exclusivity. It's not that there is no sect that has a monopoly on it. You will find nutcases everywhere. Okay, so that's the that's what I would say. I mean, so definitely you get that amongst the Shia crowd as well. But when I was saying that we should build bridges, I meant with the people who are like-minded, who want to build bridges. Of course, like the common Muslims. Right? Okay. What's going on? What's going on? What are some of these questions here? Is it okay to call a Wahhabi a wobbler? The wobble in it. The wobble in it. The problems of Wahhabis, huh? There's a lot of Shia related questions today. I don't know, is something going on that I'm not that I'm not caught up with? ماذا يحدث? What do I think of Imran Nazir Hussain? That's right. I take it we're talking about, with that spelling of Hussein, we're talking about Imran, Sheikh Imran Hussain from, I think, is he from Trinidad or somewhere? You see, my perspective on Sheikh Imran, I've not I've not closely watched a lot of his material. I've seen some, and I've got the kind of gist of, or my personal take on him. It may be inaccurate, but you see, I feel that he's very preoccupied with the kind of the apocalypse culture, you know, the kind of doomsday culture that that everything is very doom and gloom in the perspective of people like Sheikh Imran Hussain. That's my take, that's my understanding. You know, I could be wrong about this, but that's what I feel Sheikh Imran Hussain preaches. Everything is to do with the end of times. It's all to do with the Antichrist, or I know he has a different take as well on the Antichrist and the return of Jesus and things like this. But everything is about that kind of ascetic, you know, give up the world, do this, do that. And I'm very opposed to that kind of a mindset. I believe that religion, and Islam especially, is not and has never been about this kind of doom and gloom approach. To me, Islam is about optimism. It's about kind of seizing the day. It's about living, fulfilling your potential. It's not about this kind of, oh, we're all going to die, the world's going to be destroyed, and the cosmos is going to collapse. And it's not about that. I mean, whether that happens or not, I mean, obviously, look, what has a beginning will have an end. Okay. Thus, has fate decreed matters. So I'm not challenging that. I'm not saying the cosmos will not collapse someday. Presumably it will. Matter will return to being energy. But my point is that should we become obsessed with this kind of a very doom and gloom approach? I would argue absolutely not. Yeah, and I can't emphasize enough the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that if the hour was to come upon you and you are planting a plant, or you are eating a bite of food, a morsel of food, that continue to do so. You know, man kana minkum yazra falyazra. Let him continue to plant. Why? I mean, if the world was coming to an end, why would you be so worried about a plant? And it's not about that. It's about the mindset. Okay, it's about that kind of carpe diem, that kind of, seize it. There is a hadith, although it's probably not authentic as a hadith, but the meaning is still very true, where it says that al-ayyamu thalatha, that days are three, that yawmun mada, that a day which has gone, and lan tudrika minhu shay'an, you will never be able to recapture, wa yawma ghadin, and tomorrow, la tadri atudriku am la, you do not know whether you shall reach it or not. وَيَوْمٌ أَنْتَ فِي, and a day in which you are here, present, the present. فَاغْتَنِمْهُ, seize it. And that is, to me, an amazing message. Even if it's not, even if that's not a hadith, but I feel that message is resonated by Islam. So, yeah, to me, I'm not about that doom and gloom kind of culture. I feel that we need to be more optimistic, because the problem with this doom and gloom culture is it does fuel death cults. And I'm not saying everybody who subscribes to a doom and gloom culture is part of a death cult. I'm not saying that. But this definitely does support that. Right. Oh, you know what it is? It's this thing. I have this. Let me see if I can fix this. Is that better? There is this. I have this thing here, and kids have been mucking about with it, so they've broken a bit of it, so the lighting is a bit off. I don't know if I can do much about that, really. I hope that's probably fixed a bit of it. Otherwise I have to get up, and the way this is, I don't want to kind of... Yeah, I don't know. Well, I've tried. The Lord knows I've tried. Hope that's a bit better. If not, well, it'll just have to be, people. It'll just have to be the way it is. Till next session, when I'll get it fixed up. Right now, it's... I don't know, it seems to... I think Zozo has probably been kicking it around or something. Anyway, what's going on, people? What is going on? Do you love near a train track? What? Do you love near a train track? Ah, you naughty naughty. I'll have you know, I don't keep track where I love. Do you love near a train track? Trying to set me up. You're not mentally stable. Welcome to my world. Sanity is overrated. Can you talk? I have some questions. Well, Muhammad Hamdan, as do we all. Feel free to ask. So, what is going on? What is bothering the awesome people of Facebook and now YouTube as well? I finally made it. Salam from New York. Asad, ahlan wa sahlan. Can you tell a joke? Ah, well, I suppose not as funny as the one Life's probably played on you, but probably a good enough one. Stories to be considered Islamic tradition. I don't know what that question is. Asif, get the crayons out. This is when you need crayons, you see. We gotta... What's going on? What book am I reading right now? Okay, so I'm going through... Are you Dajjal? Are you Dajjal? Yep, you've cracked it. Finally, you've done it. Shahzeb. Isn't Pazeb isn't that an anklet? in Urdu. Well, I'll let you have that conversation with your father. Dad, when you were naming me, he's like, no, I just, I like, you see, what it is we just like naming the children with kind of similar anagram kind of meanings to certain words. That's all, Alan. Anyway, right, what's going on? You see, recently what I've been reading is into a lot of this material from Graham Hancock and other similar writers who speak of a lost kind of civilization or prehistoric advanced human civilizations. And I'm finding it incredibly fascinating, I have to say. You see, there's the whole pre-Younger Dryas kind of cosmic collision. So about 12,800 years ago, there was a cosmic collision that led to or triggered the Younger Dryas, which was like a mini ice age. So you see that the globe seems to be emerging from an ice age about 14,000 years ago. And the globe seems to be kind of warming gradually. And about 12,800 years ago, for some inexplicable reason, the Earth just plummets into a mini ice age once again that lasts just over 1,000 years, probably about 1,200 years. And previously they weren't quite sure what led the globe back into a mini ice age. But this mini ice age, referred to as the Younger Dryas, is what seems to have caused all of a sudden, there seems to have been huge, the sea levels have risen. There seems to have several outer land regions seem to have become submerged in water, things like this. Now, recent geological findings have explained that it most likely was a kind of persistent meteor showering that took place. These severe collisions that may have been some of the most powerful collisions to have occurred in the last 5 million years. And they led to a complete atmospheric change and climate change on Earth. And it is assumed now that it's that period that that destroyed or wiped out maybe an advanced prehistoric human civilization. I'm finding that very interesting. And when we say advanced, we don't mean, by the way, we don't mean by that advanced like, you know, like today, like they necessarily had computers. But they definitely had probably like 18th century technology. This is the assumption. Maybe they had some other technologies that we're not familiar with, but they were definitely advanced enough to have traveled the globe, to have created maps, to have done things. And it seems really interesting that these were the people, whoever they were, these civilizations that would have created certain kind of megalithic structures. So certain things you find amongst the Andean civilization, the pre-Incas, the pre-Aztecs, the pyramids, the Sphinx, arguably, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which is about 11,500 years old, a great megalithic structure, because that's the time that agriculture is discovered. Now, it can't be that humans just suddenly one day stopped, they put their spears down, and they just started creating megalithic structures. That just does not make any sense. You see, either it's a gradual process, but it's not. It can't be that one day human beings just stop becoming hunter-gatherers and they start setting up farms and agriculture and buildings, and it just doesn't work like that. So I think that's definitely an interesting argument. I'm quite convinced. I'm very persuaded by the facts, I have to say. I've been going through quite a few of these works, and I've got quite a few of them here as well. I'm definitely very inclined in that direction right now. An interesting thought is, and this has recently occurred to me, could the Younger Dryas, that kind of cosmic impact and the rise of sea levels, the flooding, the tsunamis, the kind of sulfuric, the acid rain that it triggered, the volcanoes that may have been impacted by that, the earthquakes, the dimming of sunlight for weeks, if not a few months, the death of vegetation, because that's also the time, the Younger Dryas times, when the megafaunal, the great mammals, things like the mastodons and the saber-toothed tigers and all those great mega kind of elephants and mega mammoths, they called megafauns. So these all became extinct at that time. And the earlier theory that people had was that humans just made them all go extinct suddenly, just through predation. They just hunted them and just kill them all off, which sounds like all of a sudden humans just go, right, let's just kill anything huge, and they just destroy them all. Yeah, right. So the point is that it seems now that the megafaunal extinction was caused by the Younger Dryas kind of cosmic collision. So yeah, could that have been the time of Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam? That's an interesting thought that I've recently been kind of just kind of entertaining. That seems rather interesting, that because we definitely know that several regions of the globe were entirely submerged in water, and they still are, and they're still under. So you still find them on certain maps, and so there's I mean, if you watch the lectures of Graham Hancock or some of these other speakers, or buy their books, you can go through it, and they include several maps as well and things like that of land which is now entirely underwater, in the exact similar structure that it is underwater today, and it's been underwater for about 12,000 years. So could it have been that the Younger Dryas was the time of, is the kind of story, the story of Nuh alayhi salam is reflecting that, you know, the great world, or the great flooding is to do with that? I find it plausible. I'm not saying it is, but I find it plausible. Because, you see, many world cultures transmit the story of the Great Flood. Many. And there's a book I've put it away now. It's called The Edge of Memory. So, and it's a study on the oral tradition. No, not what some of you sickos are thinking. You're like, yaar, it's a tradition? Acha? यार ये तो हमारी परंपरा है. This parampara has been passed down for 12,000 years. I'm sure it's been passed down much longer, actually, but oh, wait a minute, we have, alright, Sheikh Uwais Namazi in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan. Tasharraft. Sheikh, you're doing it. It's been way too long. We have to catch up. People, Uwais Namazi, a legend from the UK who likes to keep a low profile, but he's in the house. Right, so my point was that there's this book called The Edge of Memory, in which there is a sociological study conducted on the oral tradition. So stories that people pass down. And it's amazing how these stories survive thousands of years. And they're still transmitted. So, and it's difficult doing that in very kind of cosmopolitan places where there's a lot of human interaction and mixing. So, because people keep changing, and, you know, there'll generations, and people will migrate, and others will kind of, you know, so people will, there'll be this great shift over. So a lot of this study, The Edge of Memory, was conducted within Australia, where the Aborigine culture was unadulterated for thousands and thousands of years. And the interesting thing is, they've actually passed stories on till now. Stories that date back to almost 11,000 years, and the flooding then. So they will have stories of particular lands. So for example, particular islands or particular landmass that now is submerged underwater to make it a separate land, but at that time was connected. And they will speak about that. So they will say things like, oh, when this used to be one land, and such would go there, and they explain. And now through scientific study we can actually check, and it stands true. It's not something fabricated. So it's amazing that all these cultures share a flooding myth, a myth of the flood, like the story of Noah, as did the Babylonians, as did the Sumerians, as did you've got the other traditions, the Abrahamic traditions, and other the Aborigine cultures. You've got the Incas, the pre-Inca civilizations, the Mayan culture. You've got a lot of these things. They all share a history of this this tradition of a flooding, and I feel that I'm inclined to what people like Graham Hancock and others are suggesting, that flooding may be referring back to the Younger Dryas kind of cosmic collision. So I'm inclined to that, and I feel it's plausible. It may not be that may be the kind of story of Nuh alayhi salam. I do have some questions about this whole advanced civilization, and one question is that you see that what about having domesticated animals? How come if there was an advanced human civilization, wouldn't they have domesticated animals? Because the animals we have today have only been domesticated in the last several thousand years. Apart from dogs, and I know dogs probably, what is it, about 14,000 years or something, but still, wouldn't that advanced civilization have domesticated animals? So that's a kind of a counter question that I can think of at this point, looking at this. A presumable response could be, what if they had, I don't know, what if at that time, for example, because of the megafauns, the much greater animal species that were about, it wasn't so easy. Maybe that's a response. Maybe the fact that maybe they had tried to work on domesticating certain megafauns, but they're extinct. So, or maybe they helped domesticate the dog. I don't know. I mean, these are all thoughts. Cool. Right, let's move on with some other questions. Right, what is going on, people? What is going on? Let's take some questions. Let's see what some people are posting on. I don't know, there's some question here. There was some questions about Kashmir and India and the whole thing. I mean, about Kashmir, may Allah grant the people of Kashmir peace, and I feel that the right to self-determination. I mean, I think that, I don't know what Modi thinks he's doing, but history will not forget this. You know, on this, I'd like to actually say something. I'd like to share some. Check this out. I was having a discussion with someone who then avidly and passionately disagreed with me. I said that, look, I feel, now this, what I'm about to say, is to do with India and Pakistan, and it is going to be controversial. So it may trigger a few people. You see, I said, I feel that Pakistan too, I'm not talking about the Kashmir issue, I'm talking about in general. Because right now, India seems to just be so triggered. There's so much kind of like far-right movements going on. There seems to be all this reaction and hatred. But I feel, no, Ghazwa Hind is ridiculous. By the way, the Ghazwa Hind hadith are not authentic, and I've done a session on that in the past. So you can check that out on YouTube. Those of you tuning into my YouTube, by the way, do like and subscribe, people. Notifications, tick. Right, so I said, look, I feel, now what do you guys think about this? I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but I feel that, Pakistan in general has gone out of its way to forge and falsify a new identity. And I don't know, I don't like that personally. I'm not, and I can see why India doesn't like that. So, you see, what I'm trying to say here is Pakistan, so Pakistanis, I'm Pakistani as well, but I'm just saying Pakistan in essence is India. Like, we are all Hindustani. We were all part of Hindustan. But Pakistan has for several decades, it's tried to forge and falsify a new identity, to act almost as though we were never Indians, we were Arabs or something, or we were, you know, like they've purposely changed the wordings, changed the, and they've tried really hard to act as though, you see, we were never Indians. And I don't know why. What is the obsession with trying to run away from the history? Because look, I think we should embrace the Indian history. This is me personally. I think that personally Pakistanis should be, or Pakistan. I don't mean this about individuals, but Pakistan should be proud of being Hindustan. In the past, I know today it is Pakistan, but in the past it was Hindustan. Like, just think about it. Imagine, like, what's wrong with things like Pakistan, for example, teaching Hindi as a script in certain schools? What's wrong with that? I mean, they teach Farsi in some schools. They teach Arabic in some schools. It's not like people speak Farsi in Pakistan, or they speak. So why not in some schools teach things like Hindi? Teach as part of religious education. Teach about Hinduism. What's wrong with that? Like, I honestly don't see what. I think it would be such a great move. So we had a discussion. Obviously, the other person disagreed completely and said that would be ridiculous. I said that I think they ought to teach these kind of things. They ought to teach the Ramayana. They ought to teach about Ram and Shiva and all these things, and teach these stories. What's the insecurity? Why do people feel that if they teach about Hinduism, that their kids will all of a sudden start worshipping idols? That's ridiculous. Would you, if somebody told you a story about Ram and Sita, you wouldn't start all of a sudden worshipping a statue. I mean, what are you, like an imbecile? You see, but this is the history of the people. It's the history of the land. It's the history of, this was where the Indus civilization was. This is where what's wrong with that? And think about how the reaction, how it would trigger a reaction of warmth. If we're being honest, wouldn't we like India generally to do things like teach also about Islam? Wouldn't we want other religions to teach about our faith? Why is it that we have a very double standard, a very hypocritical stance when it comes to other faiths? Like, we feel that, oh my God, if we teach anything about them, and this is, I just feel that this seriously is, if it were up to me, I definitely would. If it were up to me, I would promote equally. I would say that the cultural, like the Ministry of Culture in Pakistan, ought to promote also and teach things like Sanskrit. Why not? Hindi, why not? I mean, what's the insecurity? Why are people so insecure? Like, it's another language. It's a beautiful language. I think Hindi is Hindi is like Urdu. It's the same kind of thing anyway. I personally have studied Devanagari, to write Hindi. I find it amazing. But my point is that I just feel that there's so much this trying to forge a separate identity. People are trying so hard to act as though they've got nothing to do with this land or this, that we are, as though they're Arabs, but they were never Arabs. And they're still not Arabs today. We do not have the same culture as Arabs. The Indo-Pak culture is like we are close. Let's take food. We eat roti. They eat, we eat the same roti salan. We speak the same language. We have the same kind of their folk traditions, folk music, the same things. So I just feel, and it's interesting that if you look at history, look at the Mughals who were embraced by India and by the Indians. Akbar, you see, the rulers before that always saw themselves as separate to the Indian populace. They saw themselves as foreigners. But Akbar, what did he say? Akbar had said that, look, I was born in India, so I'm an Indian. And he said things like, oh, on Hindu festival days there should be a national holiday as well. Now, because the majority of the people are Hindus. And look how people loved him till today. They praise him. You know, Jahangir did the same. Shah Jahan did the same. You know, built the Taj Mahal. And I just, these were just some thoughts that I had. I feel that, you see, because of this imposed alienation, it triggers a reaction of hatred. You see, if I keep telling you, and we're similar, that I'm so different. Like, imagine you get one household with siblings, and one of them now becomes Muslim. Let's just say you have this is the history of the Indian subcontinent. It's one family, and one of them becomes Muslim. So now, because he becomes Muslim, okay, fair enough. He wears a hat and he does certain things, and okay, fine. But now he starts to also change his language, and he starts to act as though he was never really part of this family to begin with, and they don't even have a common culture at all. He has a culture with Arabs, which he doesn't. I'm just being honest. And he doesn't speak Arabic. And even then, one could ask, what is an Arab culture? Even Arabs don't share a common culture. So my point is that this, I feel, would be a message of humanity. So being human beings first is most important. Anyway, that's, I don't know, people may agree, they may disagree. Should I beat my wife if she doesn't make me an ice cube sandwich? Okay, right. Who said that? Skirt said that. Skirt, I seriously doubt with that attitude you could even get a wife. I mean, even if you tried to buy one, you'd probably just get scammed. Right, so what's going on? What's going on? Somebody said, you need admin for YouTube. Yes, I do. I usually don't allow comments on YouTube. But today, in a moment of carelessness, I forgot to kind of Mufti, which toothpaste do you? Is that really the question that's bothering you? Do Kurds deserve a state like the Palestinians deserve one? Salahuddin Ayyubi is asking a question. I believe, look, all people should be entitled to freedoms and self-determination. Now, I do recognize that politics can be a nasty thing. I'm not too clued up with the whole Kurdish history and the socio-political paradigm that's going on. I am aware that the Kurdish people do really get it quite bad because they're split over several nation states. I mean, over Syria, over Turkey, over, you're going to get in Iran, Iraq. I mean, one people split among so many different nation states, it renders the situation impossible for them to get a state. I get that, and I feel that that's very unfortunate. Right. Somebody said that you started with Kashmir but went on to the Pakistan identity. I'm not against the Pakistan identity, by the way. I'm glad. I think people should be proud of being Pakistani. I just feel, I was just saying that I don't know what the insecurity is with people recognizing that we share a Hindustani origin. And I just feel that Pakistan ought to embrace that as well, and it would do great. I think it would speak volumes in having peace in that region. These are just my thoughts. People could say, what the hell, Mufti? You've lost the plot. Nothing new there. Nothing new. I read this meme today. It said, where the person says, Satan, not today. Where he's addressing this Satan, and he says, Satan, not today, man. And then Satan says, I've noticed you've been cancelling our plans for several weeks now. I mean, is what's the matter? Is it something I've said? And I thought, yeah, that's it. Somebody said you should accept Israel as a state. You see, I've said in the past that people should now, because there is no... You see, Israel, I don't agree with the Israel kind of Israeli phenomenon. I don't agree with what Israel have done, and I don't agree with the making of Israel. But the problem is that Israel is already made, and it's there to stay. So now that the problem is there, you can either just live in your own world or live in the real world. In the real world, Israel is not going to go away. I do feel that Israel is a terrorist state. That's what I feel. I feel that the government of Israel are terrorists. But I feel that the world is stuck with Israel. So what should we do? In that case, we should just accept it. But they should allow Palestine to be... I think either they should allow Palestine to become a separate state, so you have a two-state solution. That's what I would propose. Not that they're going to listen to me. But obviously they're not going to allow that. They're going to say, well, Palestine's just going to arm itself and then go to war, so they're not going to allow that. In that case, I feel they should at least... all the people in Palestine should be given the option to be relocated in a proper in a proper residence somewhere worldwide. So, for example, that would mean in a proper cosmopolitan, not like sending them off to some desert somewhere or some countryside, that they should have the option. They don't need to take it, but they should have the option that you can move in to a fully family refurbished kind of apartment or home somewhere that's, where you can hit the ground running, where it's good to go. You've got it and it's yours. If you want to move there, it's yours. I feel that is the basic human right that should be offered to all the Palestinians in the Gazan Strip. So I feel that because that would then at least, because look, I'm being honest that yes, Baytul Maqdis, the masjid, Qubbatul Sakhra, which is the, Dome of the Rock, it's a great mosque, but at the end of the day, it is still just bricks. It is not more valuable than human life, okay? So if this is going to cost the lives of human beings, then it is better for them, I would feel, to be able to leave. As the Quran says, فَأَرْضُ اللَّهِ وَاسِعَةً. The earth of God is vast. So they should be allowed, because right now they're trapped in the Gaza Strip. They're not allowed exit. But not only should they be allowed exit, but they should be reaccommodated comfortably, I feel. That's their basic right. And if they take that offer, it should be given to them. That's what I feel. But I feel that the rest of the world, the Muslim world, is kind of selfish in saying to the Palestinians that, no, even if you had the offer, you shouldn't leave because you're defending the Jerusalem. I feel that that's a selfish statement, because it's easy for me to say that, or for you to say that, or for somebody sitting in Saudi Arabia to say that. But why, they're not having their children butchered. So I feel that that's right. I feel, how about one state? Yeah, this is what I'm saying, that look, either 2 states, or they should allow them to say, look, this is not going to be a prison, and anybody that wants to leave, we will actually comfortably reaccommodate them somewhere in the world, comfortably. That means they will be reimbursed, given money, given a place, a residence, a home, and I feel that's a basic human right. That now that since Israel's there to stay, it's not going to leave. Let's be honest. So that's what I would feel. Somebody said, "What's this question?" Is it haram to shave your body? You mean the dead body that I've got lying here? Is it haram to shave it as well now? Is it haram to shave your body? Huh? Well, I mean, would you, I don't know, I mean, does that mean, there's many permutations to this question. I mean, one could be, is it haram to shave your own body as opposed to getting somebody else to shave your body? Right, so it's like, hell no, I can't shave it myself, but can I get people to shave it? Alright. No, it's not haram to shave your body. I think you should definitely, I'm not saying you should definitely shave your body, but it's not haram to shave your body. And if you need to remove, in fact, certain parts of your body you should shave or remove the hair from, especially around the private parts, underarms, things like this. Basic hygiene, people. Basic, come on, people. I have to teach you guys basic hygiene. And if you wish to remove, men or women, if they wish to remove body hair, they can do so. It's absolutely fine. It's not haram. Yes, of course. I mean, maybe more emphasize. I think some ethnicities, you see, we were speaking about Pakistanis earlier on. You see, the things that we don't want, we get. So Pakistanis have been like, as Peter, what's his name? The comedian, Russell Peters or Peter Russell. I keep always mixing it up which way round it is. But he said, like, when God was making Indians, he said, God said, I know, let's put them in the hottest place on earth and then cover them with hair. Because Pakistanis are just, they're just like, it's just unfair, the hair genes that they've inherited. I don't know why they've kind of held on to those genes. Even the DNA is like, you do know, can you guys not tell it's boiling hot outside? So yes, for the men, so this is another thing, when they grow their beards, they're just like, ooh, hair everywhere. And unfortunately, that gene has equally blessed the gentler gender, blessed the women as well. So the women are like, ooh, cavemen women, ooh. So hell yeah, they should definitely kind of like get a lawnmower, shave those legs. And this is why, you know, they ask, people ask that, oh, can they pluck their eyebrows? And you think, well, you see, the Arabs, because when you read about the hadith, when you read the hadith, you realize that when you read descriptive hadith, for example, even when they're describing the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so the hadith, so there's a hadith in Tirmidhi describing the chest hair of the Prophet. And it says he had only a few. And on one occasion, Anas, who was a young boy, tries to count him. And he says he can count like maybe, I don't know, it goes up to like 15 here, 16 here, 17, 18, like this. He counts individual strands. And that's all there is. And he says he can count like maybe up to, I think it goes up to 18 or 19 here. That's it. and so this is to give you a picture of the kind of the phenotype, the appearance of the Arabs at the time when the Prophet is speaking about certain things. Right now, all right, there you go. I'm just mocking and blocking. I think I've done that. All right, awesome. All right. So the point is that, look, now you get people, let's say, who come from a culture where they're gonna have like a monobrow. They're gonna be like Cyclops. Might as well just have one eye, like the dajjal. They got like these bushy eyebrows here, and they're like, "Oh, bro, do you think it's haram to pluck eyebrows? Haram?" It's like, no, that should be your priority above trying to do Hajj above the your first and foremost priority should be to fix your appearance. It's like, what the hell is that? So, and the worst thing is religion does it to people. So religion, you know, the things people end up doing because of religion, they end up suffering, you see. So what happens is they suffer so much, and then they reach a certain age where they have a kind of like a crash moment, a burnout effect. And then they feel that, look, because of religion, I've kind of been through all this, and this is religion's fault. But then they forget that, you see, Allah said to them that I give you an aql. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, in the hope that you may use your intellect. But these people don't really do things like that. So, what else is going on? What else is going on? Somebody said, alright. Sorry, just trying to... I will get the... there you go, done. I will make sure I definitely remember to block the chat on YouTube next time. Why did the Prophet mimic the Jews so much in the beginning of his prophethood? This is an interesting question. You see, because there's many people who now, when they study Islam, many of the Islam revisionists and other people, they felt that that Muslims were really just an offshoot of Judaism, that they were just a kind of a new movement that was really still part and parcel of Judaism. And that's what, for example, Hagarism, they claim was Hagarism from Hajar, from Hagar. Now, I don't agree in that sense with what they're saying, but I can see this reasoning, this line of reasoning. It's to do with why were there so many similarities, and that's because I feel that maybe because obviously we share a tradition, the Abrahamic tradition, maybe because the Prophet ﷺ as he was distancing himself from the polytheists, he was nearing himself, or drawing on a greater proximity with the people of the book, with the Jewish people and the Christians. Because, you see, that's what happens in the dynamics of otherness. That when you draw a distinction, you kind of end up more becoming closer. I mean, there is obviously the backdrop that these are people of the book anyway. So, yeah. Somebody said, are you not answering that question? What question is that? Because you have a hole in your ear like a female. Here is another person, Nuruz J. I mean, to have, first of all, to have the name Nuruz, which is like basically might as well just be a female name. So we know clearly here is poor Nuruz here, who's been through a life of trauma because his parents obviously gave him that name since childhood. I mean, so now he's trying to take it out on other people. Nuruz, yes, my friend. It is okay to have earring, you know. It doesn't all of a sudden, you know, by putting an earring on, your penis doesn't just disappear all of a sudden. It doesn't make you, it's not called, it's not, Bichara, this poor Nuruz here was missold the sex operation, gender realignment operation as an ear piercing. It really isn't fair. The kind of low-level IQ that this ummah has been afflicted with, it really isn't fair. It's just, it's a curse. It's a punishment on this ummah. We got all these people, we got all these people with us, I'm Muslim, my name is Nuruz. The first thing I would do if I was Nuruz is I would be on a deed poll website changing my name. That would be my first act of of self-determination, that for God's sake, let's get a name. I feel for you. I feel for you. Homie, hang in there. That's it. You can get through this. Nuri. Hi, Nuri, Meri Jan. That's honestly, that's harsh, man. You know what your parents did is unfair. That is like, you know, there's crimes against humanity, and then there's like naming your child Nuruz. This one not nice, you know. You say you say to your parents that Abba, ये काहे को किए हैं आप? This one not nice. Why you tortured me? But anyway, let's Nuruz goes, you're effed. No, mate. I would be if I had the name Nuruz. Then clearly my life would be effed. But it's okay, man. I'm pretty cool and awesome here, just chilling with with my life. But yeah, but on the bright side, there is hope. You can change your name. Just don't let your parents decide. For the love of God. They probably go, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on. What other questions are bothering the people? Chirstopher Hitchens was awesome. Obviously, he had a strong resentment to religion, but I think he was a legend in his own right. I really do take a liking to him. Obviously, I disagree strongly with his position against religion, but I feel he had this incredible charm, wit, and eloquence to him that one can only but hold in admirable light. How do you explain Zamzam? Whoa, look at all these. What's the katham about? Change your name to Mufti Munafik. Oh, wait a minute, hey, check this out. People, there's this YouTube account called the Vigilant One, yeah. Now this guy, check this out. I genuinely don't get this. This guy reaches out to me. He says, look, I've got a YouTube channel and I really would love to kind of do an interview with you. And I'm a big fan. And he said, look, I've got like thousands and thousands of followers and subscribers and, and so I said, well, okay, I'll take a look at your channel. And I took a look. He's got some kind of videos about conspiracy theories and stuff like this. So I said, look, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll have a chat with you. So he phoned me, and he's from the UK, and he may be from Birmingham. So I had a chat with him, and I said to this guy, he seemed like he was maybe in his mid-20s or something. And I said, well, what do you want to talk about, like on an interview? This is obviously off. This is just a private conversation we're having. It's not on air. And he said, well, I want to start podcasts and I want to do these kind of interviews. And I thought, well, let's start with you. And I'm a great fan of you and stuff like this. So I said, well, look, I appreciate your support. But what do you want an interview about? I don't understand. Like, what? Because I said to this person that, look, a podcast is great. I would encourage you to do a podcast. But doing a podcast, I said, requires that you will have to, it has to be a discussion on things. And he said, yes, I'll have a discussion with you on exorcism. I said, yes, but a discussion is not a monologue. It's not just me saying to me, why don't you believe in jinn possession? And then I talk. And then you say, but some people believe in it. And I say, and I talk. And then you say, so what are your evidences for not believing in? And I talk. I said that's just useless because I've already got a very detailed lecture on jinn possession where I answer all these questions. So that's not a podcast. A podcast would be a discussion. Is not that. A discussion is where you engage me. Where I would, so if I was having a discussion on something, I would talk about it, I would research the topic, I would have a decent idea of what's going on. And I would say, hey, so, this is your view about this. This is really interesting. It's been challenged by this perspective. What do you feel about that? I know you, for example, have challenged certain hadith about it. I know you've said the hadith, revolve around a particular figure. Let's say it's Ibn Shihab or A'mash, and these people have this problem. But what about what such and such is saying? And it becomes an engaging discussion. That's a discussion, I said. So I said this to this guy, and he said, well, I do have research on this. So I said, all right. I said, but what kind of research would you have? Like, I said, look, because I'm happy to have a dialogue with someone, but I want it to be a dialogue. I don't. If you just want, if I'm just coming on to some conversation and the person knows nothing, I said I might as well just give a lecture, which I've already given. So I'm just wasting my time. And then the guy said to me, "Oh well, I could talk to you about the dajjal. I've got 20 years of research on the dajjal." So I said to him, "How old are you?" And I think he said he's maybe 28 or 29. So I said to him, "Well, what kind of research have you got on the dajjal?" And he goes, well, I know that Madonna used the eye symbol and used this and used that. And I was like, honestly, I said, are you being for real? Like, that's not research on the dajjal, for God's sake. So this is my point. That this person obviously has got upset because of this. So since then, he's kind of left me a few comments saying, "Oh, you're a munafiq, you're a hypocrite, you're a fasiq, you're misguided, you're this." But if I just backtrack a few weeks, he was saying, "You're the best, I'm your biggest fan." What this love-hate relationship, this love-hate relationship. Anyway, people. So, I'm serious, and somebody said, "Oh, well, that sounds..." I'm telling you, I am really confused. People like this, I feel, are not mentally stable. And we need to realize that, look, there needs to be talent. It's all fine doing something, but if you're going to do it, you need to have talent. And I feel that so many Muslim circles just feel that they want to do something. They want to be celebrities, but they don't want to do research. They want that kind of spotlight. I know. I want to talk for hours and I want people to listen to me, but I don't want to bother reading or researching about the stuff. That's, well, then why don't you just buy crayons and just carry on colouring? Stick to the special educational needs groups. And just leave the rest of the people alone. Right. Anyway, let's move on with another question. Right, so let's see what questions people have posted here. Abdullah Awan said, "I'm feeling lost. I waited a whole week for a Monday night." You're doing it, Abdullah. You're doing it. Do you have a halal date to view? What this one? Let's see what is going on, people. Sheikh, Mike Khan has asked, Sheikh Abdul Jabbar. Yeah, I do actually. I know Sheikh Abdul Jabbar recently shared a message. I sent him a message. Somebody asked me about it. I'll share something with you. You see, Sheikh Abdul Jabbar, when it comes to viewpoints, perspectives, we may be polarized opposite ends. We may be. I mean, I totally don't, I don't obviously believe in the whole jinn possession and demonic possessions and stuff like that. And somebody had sent me a clip saying, "Do you know this Sheikh?" And, basically, what the hell, Mufti, why don't you just have a go at Sheikh Jabar, Abdul Jabbar? And I I said in the comment, I said, this is Qadi. I call him Qadi Abdul Jabbar. I said, even the shaitan seeks refuge before messing with Qadi Abdul Jabbar. The reason I say Qadi is there was a famous scholar in the past called Qadi Abdul Jabbar. You see, I have immense respect for Sheikh Abdul Jabbar and a soft spot, a forever soft spot in my heart when it comes to Sheikh Abdul Jabbar. And I'm going to share this with you. You see, people, you have to remember something. At the end of the day, the most important thing is always the human connection. It is always the human connection. And as there's a poem I quote it often actually, an Arabic poem, where it says, أحسن إلى الناس تستعبد قلوبهم ولطالما استعبد الإنسان إحسانه. That show ihsan, this kind of kindness, this humanness, humanity to people, that it has for so long captured the hearts. And this is how one truly captivates the heart. You know, there was a time a few years ago in my life when I went through some very testing circumstances. And there was a whole, you know, it was very, I mean, and I, to be fair, I, kept my chin up during the whole thing. But it was a very kind of a testing time. It was very pressing. And there was, it was tense. There was a lot of pressure. It was the time that, you know, many people know that I helped out a certain friend, and I ended up, because of that, going to prison as well for a short time. And there was this whole thing, and there was a lot going on, and obviously there's my family who were going to suffer as a consequence, and other people, and because obviously, and there was a point of undetermined outcome when I wasn't sure what exactly was going to happen. And it was because it was a very difficult time. Just to give you an idea, I remember that one of the, actually that that actual day when I was going to the sentencing, you see, one of the most difficult things was actually that, you know, that kind of ride going there, and that morning. And because there was the potential that, you know, this may be it, and you're gonna go on a nice little vacation. And I remember my daughter Layla was probably just about 3, and I remember she woke up that morning, and she never used to normally get up that early, and she did, and she woke up, and I think she just wanted to go to the toilet or something, and she woke up, and I was getting ready to go to court, and she had woken up, and she said, and she just came and said, and she asked me, where are you going? And I just said, yeah, and she said, are you going work? And I said, yeah, I'm just I'm just going to work. I said, you go back to sleep. But it was really difficult as a parent. These kind of things, the difficulty that one goes through, it's beyond words. It's immeasurable. The uncertainty factor. So it was at that kind of time in life. I mean, I'm not saying on that day, but that time in life, those months and weeks, that Sheikh Abdul Jabar, he actually came to visit me. I didn't ask him. He just came to visit me off his own back, and he turned up to my house on his own, and he'd come to hear of that I was going through certain you know, testing times, that there was certain issues, and there was this whole kind of hearing and things like this. Now, and I have to say, he came and he kind of to just for that support, and he shared some words with me. He shared some personal stories, and he told me that, look, listen, whatever happens, don't give up on Allah. And I seriously have to say that, you know, at that time, his words meant so much to me. It's amazing that you could be going through something, and it's not that you don't know these things, but it's as the verse in the Quran says, "Dhakir fa inna dhikra tanfa'ul mu'minin." You know, that remind people that that a reminder helps the people of faith. And Sheikh Abdul Jabar, he came to my house, he came to my home, and he kind of sat there and he told me about some personal stories when he went through some very difficult times, and how everything was salvaged and saved in the end, and how, tawakkul, he had this tawakkul ala Allah, this tawakkul, this kind of reliance on Allah and God, and how God was there for him. And I have to say that this really, it meant so much for me at that time, and it gave me such a, like, it kind of boosted my support mechanism, my internal mechanism. And I really deeply, till this day, appreciate that because he didn't have to, if anything, and I'll tell you something, because look, my views are nothing like the views of maybe Sheikh Abdul Jabbar. It was so different in our perspectives. He could have said that, Mufti is just a deviant. He could have said that. He could have said, and this is another thing that some Muslims resort to sometimes. Oh, this is a punishment from God for this person. Ha ha ha. Serves him right. It's ridiculous. There was recently that, you see, I don't follow rapping and the rap culture so closely, but there was recently that drill artist or rap artist that got stabbed in Birmingham. And some Muslims, because he used part of Surah Fatiha in a rap video, and some Muslims were offended that why did he say Alhamdulillah and things like this in a video. So when he got stabbed recently, some Muslims had commented, serves him right. And unfortunately, Muslims can suffer from this kind of a very pernicious and cancerous kind of attitude, that when they see something bad happening to someone, they say, oh, this is God punishing you, ha ha ha. And it's crazy. But religious people do that. And this could have been, like, Sheikh Abdul Jabbar could have taken a stance like that. He could have said that, this guy is an absolute, look at him, he's a deviant, he makes, he deems all these things to be halal or whatever. Or at the least, he could have just ignored the situation. But he went out of his way to come to my home and to kind of sit there and talk to me and to tell me that, look, listen, forget about everything else. Right now, your morale might be low, but I want to tell you, just hang in there. And that, forever has captured my heart, at least. So I will forever have a soft spot for Sheikh Abdul Jabbar. May Allah forever preserve him and keep him smiling. I disagree, obviously, on views with him. And I think we can always disagree with anyone. I can disagree with myself. I might have an opinion 5 years ago that I've changed today. But I feel that, you see, what it comes down to is the human character. And definitely, to me, Sheikh Abdul Jabbar is a man of substance. He's a man of character. So definitely, I mean, somebody said, oh, Sheikh, this Sheikh is going on about these stories. Look, whatever the Sheikh's view is his view. My view may be different. But I truly have, from my heart, du'as for him. And similarly, I would like to echo that message to people. I do try, seriously. I try that sometimes if I come across, especially people that I know, if they're going through certain circumstances, I do try to kind of extend some support or some help. And that's something that I would advise all of you that do that, because it is the thing that counts. It's not this, this kind of debating, this arguing. We can do that. I can do that. I love debating and philosophical arguments and doing this and doing that. And I feel that in some ways I'm kind of mentally wired for that. But, this stuff is not what people remember. What they remember is the human element. You know, there's that famous story of those of you that are familiar with the Tablighi culture may know of Haji Abdul Wahab Saab. He's the great Amir in Pakistan of the Tablighi Jamaat. Now, there was a story that he related where he mentioned that he said, you know, he met a person once. He was riding a train, and it was a long journey. It was going to be like an 11-hour trip or something. And he ended up sitting next to someone, and he thought, well, you know, with the Tablighi Jamaat, they always want to give da'wah. Let's give this person da'wah. You know, like they say, da'wah, let's do da'wah. So, and they feel kind of duty bound to give da'wah to someone every day. So he thought, this isn't, you know, the guy can't leave. He's not going to get up and go. So this is an opportunity to preach. So he thought, look, how do I open, you know, because if I just start preaching, the guy might just say to me, look, listen, excuse me, if you don't mind, you know, I just like my peace and quiet. So what happened is, in the train, you had somebody come past. They come and sell things like some savouries or sweets or tea. So he bought himself a cup of tea, and he bought this guy a cup of tea. He said, oh, you know, can I have 2 cups of tea, please? And he handed one to him, and the guy said, oh, well, thanks. And he said, I used that opportunity to preach. So he said, I preached to him for an entire, something like 9 hours. I preached and preached and preached and preached. And he says, you know, I'm fine. You know, we got to our destination and we parted ways. He says, you know, as it happened, years later, I bumped into that individual. He came, I think the guy was traveling to the city of Lahore or something, and he bumped into him. And he said to him, he said, oh, Haji Saab. He said, oh, have we met? He said, yes. And he reminded him, he said, oh, we met in the train. He said, you bought me tea. And Haji Abdul Wahab Saab, when he was retelling the story, he said, I preached to this guy for 9 hours and he couldn't remember a damn word that I'd said. But he remembered that I brought him some tea. That I bought tea for him, he remembered that. You see, because the human element, people, that's what people remember. They don't remember who gives a damn about your lecture. So yeah, so I hope that's of some help. I think we should start wrapping this up. You know what? I'll take a few rapid round. We'll do a few rapid Q&A, and then we'll wrap this up. How does that sound? Because I'm right. Well, I'll take a few rapid questions, people. And also, this coming Monday, I'm gonna be this coming Monday won't be a session, so this week will be off, and then the Monday after that we'll resume. So any rapid round questions. Mufti, if you don't believe in supernatural miracles, why do you believe the Quran is the word of God? You see, this, when you say supernatural, do you believe in the supernatural? As in, do you believe in God? I do believe in God. It's not counter reason to believe in God. Just because you can't prove something, it doesn't make it counter reason. Yes, it is counter reason to go against facts as we know them. So to say that gravity doesn't exist for this cup is ridiculous. So I think Muslims, some Muslims, have got this twisted. I meant the Desi Khatam Dua's food gathering. Can you elaborate? Right. About your Talib Ilm life in Pakistan. Sure, of course. Some other time. Right now, let's do some rapid round. What caused the Shia to have a different perspective on shirk? I don't think they do have a different perspective on shirk. Is Cyrus mentioned in Surah an-Najm? Yes, it is. I believe that's Sirius, the star, does refer to Shi'ra, I believe, because it was important. as was Canopus as well, was another important star that part of the Kaaba is aligned to. So the wall of the Kaaba is aligned to the star, which is in Arabic called Suhail. Cool. Somebody said about the age of Aisha. Yes, the age of Aisha, people need to really grow up and they need to realize that this is unacceptable to be attributing these things to the Prophet. It is blasphemous. I saw somebody online saying things like, how can it be rape when there's parental consent? I thought, is this guy severely mentally handicapped? I mean, what the hell? Does he even hear can he even read what he's written? Yeah. Right, let's take some rapid round questions, and then let's wrap this up. I was reading actually today, there was a nice poem of Jaun Elia that I came across, where he said, damn, because I just read it today actually for the first time. It was just a one-liner where he said, Dile marhum ko khuda bakhshe. That may God forgive this, this poor heart. Damn. What was it, man? It slipped my mind. Oh, that's it. Dile marhum ko khuda bakhshe, badi ronak lagaye rakta tha. Allah, Allah, Allah. He said that may God have mercy on this poor heart. That it definitely was the soul of all kind of gatherings, of all places. Meaning that the heart was incredibly charming. But it just, the wording in Urdu, it captures so much pain at the same time as appreciation. That dile marhum ko khuda bakhshe, badi ronak lagaye rakta tha. It's just amazing. Right, what is going on? The Urdu poet, Mufti Abu Layth. Hi. You know what it is? This poetry really, it does something. There's this, a new poet I'd come across called Shaur in Urdu. He was quite a contemporary of Jaun Elia. And I find some of his stuff really fascinating. He had this line where he says, Log sadmon se mar nahi jate. Log sadmon se mar nahi jate. Samne ki misal hai meri. He said, people do not die simply due to tragedies. A living example is right before you. Allah, 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 Allah. Sure. Doing it, huh? So, what is going on? How good is your memory? It's alright, I guess. It's alright. Not bad, this one. What do you think of using they as gender neutral to refer to Allah? You know what's funny is we're in a day and age where some religious people you see, because plus religious people don't realize that when they walk around in a jubba, a thobe, it looks like they're just walking around in a dress. It honestly looks like that. Like I was today after Jummah, I'd seen this guy walking across the road, and he had some other top on top of his thobe. So up to here, because it didn't. So up to here, it kind of covered. He had some kind of like a hoodie or something on, and then he had just the thobe, which just looked like a dress then. And I was just looking at it, and I was thinking that, it's a strange time we're living in when the religious have ended up accidentally appearing as like kind of cross-dressing and using terms like they, which puts them in the same camp, because they call their sheikhs and pir sahibs as they, as the non-binary gender. So they've ended up in a strange camp. एक ही गम गुसार था ना रहा. Allah, Allah, Allah. Fani Badayuni. This one was different. The Shahid had mentioned this poem. Badayuni Sahib's poetry is awesome as well. Oh no, I'm talking about, Shakil Badayuni. But also Fani, I'm sure he's great as well. But Dile Marhum Ko Khuda Bakhshe. This one of that I was quoting was of Jaun Elia, where he says that Badi Ronak Lagai Rakhta Tha, that he would be the soul. Ronak, it's it's actually an Arabic word that's used more so in Urdu. Right, so what else, people? Let's take a few rapid questions and then we'll wrap it up. Did you go to the gym today? Yep, already been today. Right, so are you going to watch Ertugrul? I haven't actually watched Ertugrul. I just couldn't really get onto that. I've watched so many other TV series. I think I've clocked most of them. Right, what's a kusra? Shahzeb is back. He's asking, what's a kusra? I don't know. Have you not looked in the mirror recently? Now, a kusra is a eunuch. No, not a unicorn. A eunuch. Right, so this one, he, she, Right, so somebody said thoughts on Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is awesome. I love Jordan Peterson. There's an amazing discussion between Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris. They've had a few, but there's a particular one. I think, is it the Vancouver one? But that is so epic if you watch it thoroughly. Right. Would you consider teaching Urdu? There's other people teaching Urdu. We don't need to teach Urdu. Urdu jisko kehte hain hami, or as the poet Dagh said, that Urdu jiska naam hai hami jante hain Dagh, that which is called Urdu, we truly master it Dagh. Sare jahan mein dhoom hamari zuban ki hai. That the whole world should come to recognize the beauty of this language. Did Ibn Hazm call Malik a cat? I doubt that, but although he was very, he was biased against the Malikiya, but you can understand that because of the politics in his time. Somebody asked, which woman is best to marry from Algeria or Morocco? Hassan Nisar, with this questioning, I think neither is available for you. You're going to need to... I don't think either are an option unless you mean as a fantasy. Or unless you have the British passport. You know that one? Somebody replied, no, you marry your cousin. That's gotta be... I know, I crack jokes about stuff like this, and it must hurt some people because, unfortunately, they're married to their cousins. Well, that's gotta be quite sickening, I gotta say. It's like, they gotta look just like you. It's like my mate said. He said, when I was 18, my dad sent me to Pakistan to marry my cousin. He said, I looked at her and she was absolutely blaming gorgeous. He said she looked just like me with 2 plaits. Oh, God. I don't know, man. This one not nice, Cousins, cousin, sister, same, same. What is your opinion on steroids? Well, I think steroids are more an issue of legality and safety. They're not an issue of being haram. They're not haram. Right. You need to watch Power. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll get round to that one. Haris Sultan is in the house. Alright, Haris G. Ahlan wa sahlan. Marhaban. Swagat. Bahut swagat hai aapka. Haris said, I agree with your position on... Yeah, I mean, I just feel that, look, with Kashmir, it's clearly upsetting. But the thing I was saying about Pakistan, that was my personal opinion on saying that it's not to do with the Kashmir issue, but it's just that I feel that Pakistan should really just embrace its history, its Indian history, its Indian origin, it's not, and be proud of it. And I feel that Pakistan should teach Sanskrit, it should teach Hindi, I feel it should teach the Ramayana, should teach Hinduism as a cultural thing. People shouldn't be insecure. I don't know what the insecurity is about. People think teach another religion, you become that religion. Right, okay, so what's going on, people? What's going on? Last few questions, then we're wrapping it up. Opinions on Maulana Anwar Shah Kashmiri. Sure, I mean, Anwar Shah Kashmiri was a great scholar of the Indian subcontinent, but he wasn't God. The problem with Deobandis is that, yes, I think a lot of the scholars were great people, but they made, their opinions were not divine scripture. People feel that they have to worship those scholars. Somebody said, whoa. Somebody says, F you, man. F you. Whoa. Okay, that got blocked. Why F you? Huh? F me? Why F you, man? Why? Have you watched that clip where one guy in the car and the other one? What you beep. Why me? You? Why you? Me? I you? It is so hilarious. Jamal is wondering, is it haram for a couple to become swingers? Well, Jamal, you've got your gold couples in place. Your couple golds. So I see where your relationship will be heading. Favorite book on psychology? Right, that's a difficult one. I mean, I think really psychology is more about the theories. It's not, to me, psychology is not about books, it's about the theories and concepts. Psychology is awesome. I absolutely love psychology. Trying to understand the mind, human behavior, I feel it's a must. Were the Sumerians people of Noah? No, I believe that no, I don't believe they were, although they have a flood myth as well. But today I discussed that maybe, is it plausible that Noah, alayhi salam, was from the time of the Younger Dryas kind of cosmic collision. Perhaps. Right, what is going on, people? What is going on? What are some questions? Mufti, did you hear about the Salafi scholar who said you can breastfeed your co-workers so they can... You can breastfeed... your co-workers... Do they offer work experience there? I'm asking for a friend. They've got like a long queue of like, we're here for work experience. Well, that's... Jeremy Bentham was a great philosopher, absolutely was. He kind of drew up the structure of the panopticon, you know, the prison where the prisoners would watch each other. It's a great theory, actually. Is it true that certain ethnic group, South Asians, are actually descendants of the Arabs who ruled India? South Asian Muslims are actually descendants of the Arabs who ruled India. Arabs never ever ruled India. Generally speaking, I don't mean as a one-off, a few people here or there, but they generally didn't. Yep. So it was always the kind of Persians, and they were that kind of the Turkmen people and stuff like that. They weren't generally speaking Arabs. I know sometimes they felt some people, one-off person may have had some descent, so they may have claimed to have been Qurayshi or things like this, but they were never generally Arabs. Have you read Jerusalem, a biography? Nope. Do you think that tax is theft? It's an interesting question, you know. I feel that I understand the concept, but I feel sometimes it is... Some taxes are ridiculous, and I feel that I do feel in more about what is fair as opposed to equal, because the way the system works is it's more benign and forgiving to the powerful, and it clamps down on the poor. So for example, saying, okay, everybody pays a certain amount of tax, or certain percent of tax. It's up to a certain amount. It's not the same when you're a millionaire and when you're struggling to just put food on your table, and you're just about, you've got a certain... I just feel that the system is kind of rigged to favor the rich. Mufti Abu Layth, do you believe Cyrus to be Dhul Qarnayn? That's an interesting question. I don't really know who Dhul Qarnayn is. Some people have said is Alexander. I don't believe he was Alexander the Great. Some people have said like Cyrus. Some people have said he was a South Arabian king from the ancient South Arabian kingdoms that existed pre-Islam. But whoever he was, I'm not really sure. Alright, people, let's wrap this up. Stunned chicken halal. Right, people. Right, in the words of the epic poet Mirza Rafi Soda. Allah. Don't you just love the aliases that the Urdu poets used to adopt? They used to adopt Soda. Soda can mean like a transaction, but it can also mean something, if you take it with the spelling of Soda, then it means something like dark and blackened out, kind of. But I just feel like Soda in Urdu, he's epic, he's undermined. And he's a contemporary of Mir, and really rated as well at times by Mir, although at sometimes dissed by him. But he has, in the words of Soda, that Soda Khuda ke vaste kar kissa mukhtasar. Apni to neend ud gayi tere fasane mein. He says, Soda khuda ke vaste, for the love of God, Soda. Kar kissa mukhtasar. Wrap up this story of yours. Apni neend ud gayi tere fasane mein. I've lost my sleep, for God's sake, in this saga of yours. People, with that, let's call it a wrap. It's been awesome. Shukran for tuning in today. Do remember to click like, click share. People, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the notifications. So I am sharing regular clips. If you do have any questions, feel free to message me. If it's on Facebook, then I prefer Facebook Messenger because I check that more often. Or if you're on, as opposed to the other Facebook page. But do like both, people. Like, yaar. Why the stinginess? If you're on Instagram, you can follow me there. I do check my Instagram messages. You can message me there. People, as always, stay awesome. Stay blessed. May Allah keep you all smiling. Till next, not this Monday, but the week after. I'll see you then. Take very good care of yourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.